Hi there. My name is Kululwa Muthwa, and welcome to this installment of Property Market Moves. Now, today I am joined by two ladies who are representing the Women's Forum, and we are continuing, even though we August, which was the month where we were recognizing women, we thought that it's important to continue, to have these conversations because women are very important in the discussion of transformation. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And we have got a guest that is joining us virtually. And it's the first time that we're doing this. So we are having a three-way conversation and we have a guest online. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Happy to be here, albeit virtually.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. All right. So to start off, can you tell us about yourself?
All right. My name is Ngoni.
Yeah.
I joined the property market in about 2017. So it was very exciting considering the last time I had handled anything to do with property was in my articles. So I started my career as a trainee accountant.
Okay.
And that was very busy, long hours, high expectations.
Yeah.
And at the time, I worked for a small firm in Cape Town. So I was like the only black female in the room. And I would find when we go to events or meetings, everybody's looking at you and trying to place you and understand where do you fit in?
Yeah.
Are you actually really part of the team? That sort of thing.
It's crazy that that's still a reality in 2025. But
Yes. But I enjoyed that and I learned a lot. I had managers that really invested in me and saw potential
Okay.
and made sure that they brought out in me.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Wow. Okay. So she started off in Cape Town. You're in Cape Town. There must be something about Cape Town.
Yes.
Can you, tell us about yourself as we kick off?
Okay. I'm actually originally from the Eastern Cape, and I've spent all my career in Johannesburg. And I actually started out in the architectural design profession, and that was my basic degree. And then in 2011, I then joined Nedbank, and that's when I ventured into property finance and investment. With my technical background in architectural design and development management, I was a project oversight manager and a relationship manager, so wearing two hats. So on the sales side and risk management side as well. So I'd say my expertise is really mixed in terms of the technical side in property and built environment, and also the financial side in being able to put deals together, structure deals together for investment or finance purposes. So my full expertise in property finance and investment would be about a 17-year span. And I then did postgrad studies in property at Wits and also MBA at the School of Built Environment in the UK. So that would be the encapsulation of it. So I've been on site and in boardrooms with much older people than me and mostly male, and that's always been very interesting. I've never had a disrespectful situation, but it's always been challenging because it's been new for them and new for me. But I think we navigated those spaces quite well, and they've gained respect for me, even though I was always the youngest or the only female in the room.
Interesting. I mean, that you mentioned that experience. So, how did then, your experience early on and throughout, how would you say it shaped who you are today?
I think it's given me confidence in being able to engage with people despite gender, despite age gap, despite the level of experience. Because I was especially when I moved from architectural design into development management before I joined the banks, I had to manage contractors and professional teams. And I had to quickly learn on the job because I had to ensure that I achieve my targets. And I learned very quickly how to work with people from diverse backgrounds. And that's given me the confidence and ability to be able to work with people from that angle and not define people based on their gender or based on their background, but rather what we bring to the table and the value that we uniquely bring to the table. Because otherwise, if we all think the same and we all come from the same expertise background, we're not going to get something fruitful at the end.
Absolutely. For you, Ngoni, I mean, if you reflect back on your career, and yours then has been, a bit because you branched out at some point from where you started. Who have you learned from throughout your journey, and what contribution have they made in shaping who you are now?
Okay, so I think starting off as a trainee accountant, you work in various industries. And you also work with people from various levels, from the junior to right up to the CEO. And that has taught me to, like she said, that you gain that confidence.
Yeah.
Because you now look at the information you want to achieve and what you want to get from these people. So you don't look at the background or the gender but what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
And who really inspired me from early on, especially when I was younger, was my father. He always instilled that integrity in us, and he would say, be a person of your word, and if people can't trust what you say, then you're worth nothing. And he instilled integrity and just being committed. And when you say something, you honor it. So that from early on just taught me that you have to be accountable and show up. And when you show up, stand by your principal values. And through my career, it's been the managers that I've worked with. Starting off in articles, it was fairly male-dominated, and all the partners were male. But what I appreciated was they saw you as a person and gave you that platform to actually grow and show what you can bring to the table. And then with the clients that we dealt with, and I think being in Cape Town, it's also the gender and the racial, it's very different. But I found they were very encouraging. And I had a female manager that actually showed me that you have to be authentically you. Even when you walk into a room where maybe the other people is more male dominated, but just don't be afraid, just be confident.
Yeah.
Show them what you know and what you're bringing to the table. And that will actually earn you respect.
I'm just thinking about the conversations that we have. I mean, as a parent, Ngoni says her dad, said, be a person of your word. So he was essentially just teaching you certain values. When you think about, are any of you parents?
Yes. I've got it.
No, I'm not a parent.
Okay. But still, as a daughter, even though you don't have children, when you reflect on the conversations that you would have had with your parents, I mean, for me, and maybe this is like in the moment when I sit with it, I remember, I'll be told, don't do this, don't do that, but not having like values driven or values instilling conversations. Have you had that?
So I've been lucky that my mom was quite different from other moms. She was very career focused, but at the same time, as a single parent, she was very innovative in the way she managed her household. I remember early on, we had a bookshelf, a very big bookshelf when I was in primary school. My mom ordered a set of books, encyclopedia, where anything you could think of, you could find in those books. That was Google for us back then. And she had architectural design books, all sorts of books, cookbooks and all of that. So you could learn about different things at home without putting this TV on. And for me, that was her ingenuity in making us curious. And she also would take me to work with her because she worked also in the rural areas near Umtata in the Eastern Cape. And she would drive with me to the rural areas and visit patients. So she was a radiographer, but she dealt mainly with disabled communities. And she would show me the kind of work that she would do. And that inspired me not only to do work that's within my role, but look at how it impacts society around me. And I think just from what she showed me, I learned those things without those intricate conversations. She wasn't much of a talker. She was more of a doer.
Yeah, you were exposed to this. She created an environment. Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any board training or experience?
I've done training with Directors Association.
Okay.
And then been serving on boards, just advisory boards, just to get that experience.
All right.
Because I think you have to start from the grassroots and learn, just take in as much as you can and put yourself out there. Because as long as you don't do that, you're not going to get that experience.
And how has that been like?
It's been very eye-opening. And what I've noticed is not many females are available, but when I started, the group was mainly male-dominated, but I'm seeing more females coming in and they're eager and they're putting themselves out there to say we're available and we can add to the conversation and we've got a lot to bring on the table.
Wow. Do you think females are available?
I think females are available. And I think another barrier to entry in terms of board membership is that there's a tendency to use the same individuals in many of the boards in the sector. And usually then it's the same women as well that are on the boards.
We're recycling,
We're recycling the same individuals, which is plausible because they have the expertise and experience of being on boards. So it's kind of like it's the lowest hanging fruit for companies to bring in somebody who is already experienced. And I think she mentioned advisory boards, and I think the more we develop the culture of using advisory boards in our organizations, especially the bigger organizations as well, I think we'll then be creating a succession pool for more women on boards who would then take over the reins, and also then allow for more diversity in terms of fresher skills, because then it would usually be younger people that would probably be brought into the boards, into the advisory boards. And I say younger, not necessarily youth. We tend to find that people on boards are usually 40, 45 and older. And you've got women that are in their 30s that are highly skilled. They're at the peak of their career and they've got something to give. And I think we need to tap into that.
And I mean, you touch on a very important point of the recycling, that happens. And naturally, because then of the expertise that these women have, how best, outside of, just the advisory boards, having more women stepping into those, what can the women who are already, in these board positions, who are being recycled, what can they intentionally do? Or even then these organizations, what can they do to be more intentional about just getting more women on boards so that we actually are building a bigger pool instead of recycling the same women?
So I think
sorry.
Please go ahead. Go ahead. We'll come back with Ngoni.
No, I'm just thinking a more structured approach, perhaps between the sector organizations like CIOB and SAPOA and the South African Shopping Centre Council, etc. All of those organizations, where all these corporates and entrepreneurs are members, is maybe have a more structured approach in formal and informal or casual coaching between seniors and also middle managers or even juniors who are in the industry. And I think that will go a long way, because that's a way for them to give back in terms of their career, which is recognized by both the employer and also maybe gain CPD points from that.
Okay. Ngoni?
Okay. So I was also going to say, like within those organizations, have structured programs like accelerator programs for women, where they actually train from the junior level employees to be part of this program and to learn from these women that are already on board. And because sometimes people don't know what they need or what skills are required to be on a board. And if they have these structured programs within the organization and women can be part of it, and also empower managers to just be sponsors for if they identify somebody within their teams that has that potential, and they just grow that skill, grow that talent, and sponsor them to be part of these accelerator programs so that they can be recognized.
And in your experience then, how did you get on the advisory board? Do you think that there are opportunities for women to, and especially Black women, to get into these board opportunities that exist in the industry? Because I know sometimes people never really get to know that there are vacancies in any until someone has been appointed. In your experience, have you come to know of opportunities, and how do you tap into them?
So how I got into it initially was I had just that hunger to grow and hunger to learn. So I started off by approaching my manager and saying, I need a coach.
Yeah.
Would they be willing to pay for it for me to get that coach? And then they agreed. So in discussing with my coach, then she started giving me ideas of opportunities that I could look at, Directors Association, Institute of Directors, looking to see if they've got programs that I could get into. And I just so happened to see that Directors Association was offering a training program for directors. So I signed up for that. And through that training, then opportunities started coming. The Directors Association started actually sending out opportunities for advisory boards. So I think as women also, we need to put ourselves out there.
Yeah.
You have to be hungry for it, because it's not just going to be land in your lap. So you also have to put yourself out there and join organizations that are there, like your CIOB, your Women in Property Networks. And because if you just stay in your corner, you will not know about these opportunities. And just collaborate and network with different people, because through those conversations, then you get to know about these opportunities.
Sure.
And I think, sorry, if I can just add, also it's like go out of your comfort zone. Don't network with people that are like you and people that would have the same interests, because then you won't actually get to know about all these other opportunities that are out there.
Absolutely. Okay. What has been your experience? I mean, you have, and I love that you started with, when you spoke about your experience, that there was never any disrespect, but it was challenging, because the story of many women, is that perhaps there would be, some level of disregard or disrespect, and has that translated into opening opportunities for you to actually sit on boards and contribute at that level?
I think the challenge is also social norms, that it's not necessarily outright disrespect, but I think people have a narrow view of what women are capable of in the workplace. And so when you're looking at placement into boards, it's always the male counterpart that's seen as the first person that could
The
take up that
likely,
Yes. And I think also there's the fear that a woman will become a mother and have other commitments, and so less availability. And also in the built environment space, there's the aspect of safety. I mean, when I walk onto a site, everybody's worried that I'm going to get hurt. More worried about me than my male counterparts getting hurt on site, but we're all human. So I think those social norms or thinking sometimes constrain our decision making. And that's what I've experienced versus outright disrespect. And as much as you try to have conversations about it, it takes time for people to work themselves out of that mindset. And I think what's added to the challenges for me is my mixed, unique background in terms of my expertise. I haven't been in a single line in terms of a professional journey. So, for
Yes.
example, it's been a challenge to get into certain positions because I'm not a pure CA or I'm not a pure QS. My background is more mixed. However, it takes time for them to realize I actually have added value because I've got the mixed expertise that everybody else doesn't have around the table. So I'm able to give
Yeah.
much better insight into problem solving, etc. But that also takes a while. But immediately when they see your CV, it's you're not a QS, you're not a CA, and so the CA or the QS will get the opportunity before you do.
Okay. Was there a moment in your journey or where you actually realized I'm a leader? Have you gotten there yet?
I think it has come in small leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
So I would say, in my previous role, we had a situation where things were not working very well, and there needed to be automation of processes.
Yeah.
And I was asked to lead that team, and just coordinating everybody and working with the IT department to understand what we needed to do and how to document this process to be able to automate it. And coming out of that, having succeeded in that, I realized I could actually be a leader. And it was really nice collaborating with everyone, because then you get this diverse experience and skills.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from an accounting background. I'm a CA.
Yeah.
And you find that you tend to just work with people of similar mindset and the same way of doing things.
Yes.
So now when you're working on such a project, you are now looking at people from various departments and just learning diverse skills. And then actually now I'm also working on a project to restructure a business. And I've had to work with marketing people, lawyers,
Yeah.
and compliance people, and it's just very exciting. And because of that, I've just seen that, yes, I could actually do this.
So, leadership. What is your leadership style? Do you consider yourself a leader? And what is your style?
I believe I have a collaborative leadership style. So I tend to want to draw from the people around me, whether
Yeah.
it's the task I'm doing or the job I'm doing is designated leadership or leadership that I have to take on in the process.
Yeah.
I like transparency. I like being able to provide full information about the task that we're doing or the problem that we're trying to solve, and get input from everybody in the decision making process. And that way, everybody has ownership
Yeah.
of both the process and the result. And I've gained the confidence of being able to then, in a designated leadership position, whilst I'm having
Yeah.
input from everyone, being able to then make a decision myself as the designated leader in the situation. So that would be, for example, in the property development space where I was a development manager. And in the banking space, in finance and investment, you'll work with a lot of parties. You work with
Yeah.
lawyers, you work with QSs, you work with project managers, you work with clients, etc. And you have to lead people that don't necessarily report to you, which is even more challenging. And so you have to be a lot more creative, and a lot of EQ has to come into play. It's less about your
Yeah.
intelligence. It's more about how you engage. It's more about how you engage with people and be able to motivate
Yeah.
people around you to help get the job done on time and within the constraints.
Do you find it, following up on that, that it is more difficult in a male-dominated environment to actually step up into your leadership?
I think it's challenging. I wouldn't say difficult for me. I love challenges, and I always take them on with a smile. So I wouldn't say it's difficult. I'd say it's challenging. And as my colleague mentioned, you have to really bring yourself into play. You can't take on a different personality. People would like to know you and trust you. And so you walk into a room as yourself, you bring your skills to the table, and you share with everybody around the table. And they start to see you as an equal rather than a young woman in the room. And so I always say to women that you being a woman is not who you are; it's a part of who you are. In your career, you are a human first, and then you are a professional, and then being a woman is an added advantage. And I say added advantage in that I think women tend to easily express their feelings more than our male counterparts. We're less likely to suppress our feelings. And then our part is to then know how to balance the technical side of a job and also then our emotions in carrying out our tasks.
So, what, in your opinion, are the benefits of having women leaders?
Okay. I think, in my opinion, I believe women are more collaborative, and they're very good at listening, and they bring people together. So having that as a leader will bring people closer, and talent will stay longer because you feel you're part of the team and you feel you're heard. Yes. And male counterparts sometimes tend to be very authoritative and they want the job done. They don't look at that softer side of things, which I feel sometimes as women we help that, and it brings everybody together.
Okay. Speaking about collaboration, and I mean, I'd be interested to see what your experience has been, because when we look at collaboration between small and big business, collaboration between different businesses submitting towards a single project, we tend to see more men working together in their businesses than what we do women. What is your experience when it comes to that? Do you find women more collaborative?
I would say women want to be more collaborative in terms of working with, if you look at SMEs working with bigger business. But you do find more male-led businesses, SMEs, working with bigger businesses. And I think it goes back to societal norms. I think with the bigger businesses, it's the more older generation who's used to working with other men. And they're in a new territory in the modern space where maybe they haven't had a lot of exposure in working with women who are perfectly capable, as much or more than some men in the industry. And they tend to then gravitate to what they know. And so I don't think that maybe it's women who don't want to collaborate, but they end up having to do it themselves because they first have to prove themselves before the bigger organizations believe that they can work with them.
And she starts to touch then on some of the barriers for women leaders, right? Those societal norms. What more barriers have you experienced, or do you think are still embedded in female leadership?
Like she said, it's still very much male dominated, and you find that to get into leadership, most times it's somebody that is recommending you, that is showing up for you. And in those spaces, because it's still very much male dominated, they will recommend another male person and not necessarily a female person. And there's also, like she says, the societal norms. There's this thinking that a woman will not have the capacity because they also have other responsibilities. There's children, there's the home front. So then they're overlooked because they might not be as available. So I think creating a culture that is a bit more flexible and collaborative, bringing in other women, bringing in women as well to say, you can do the job and we can work around your schedule so that we can all work together.
And I mean, as you talking, I'm trying to think about if I were to name like 5 female leaders in the property sector and built environment industry. I mean, I was literally like, trying to go through the list in my head, especially if you're looking, at the REIT space. Can you think of one? Like, the fact that we are taking that long, maybe the name will eventually come, right? But the fact that it's not just immediately, coming to you, that there, signifies that there is still a problem, right?
Yes.
Because it should just jump out. It should just jump out in your head because we've got quite a few. But because we've got enough, but because we've got a few, then you actually have to stretch your mind to think of one. Okay, let's leave that.
And you see it a lot in the finance and investment space. And you look at your portfolio of clients, it's reflective. Whether in the REIT space or direct property investment, and whether you're looking at SME or you're looking at large corporates, you see that there's very, very few women, sometimes none.
There's always been this idea that women generally don't get along. What has your experience been throughout your journey? So when you look back at your journey, can you identify women who have been your allies in your journey, or have they showed up differently for you?
So I think I've had both experiences where women have been my ally and have actually nurtured me to be the leader that I can be. And then I've also worked with women that I think it comes from having to work twice as hard and to prove that you actually know what you're doing and you've got the skill to bring to the table. So sometimes women tend to be more aggressive, if I can put it like that, and then it comes across as being unfriendly or not actually for other women. Because if you show up as authentically you, being a feminine person, then you're perceived to be the weaker person, and you're perceived to be not as aggressive. Okay, maybe not aggressive is the word, but assertive. Yes. So you're not seen as being very assertive, and then because of that, then you are put aside or not necessarily grow up the ladder and put forward for those positions that come up.
All right. So I think let's go back then to that question. We were talking about, the double standards that you see in terms of the same leadership profile, but received differently when it is male or female. What's your view on that? Do you find that it is true?
I think it's true in that it hasn't been long in the workspace that women have come in as just workers, not even leaders, and then leaders as well. And so I think a lot of people, or rather men, are not used to working with women in the workspace. And they're not used to being challenged by women on the same level in the workspace. They've engaged with women outside of the workspace. And so when it comes to matters that are critical and the success of a business, you will need to be assertive at times, whether you're male or female. And I think because they're not used to females being assertive, they might take it in the wrong way or feel that a woman is being highly emotional or unreasonably emotional.
And so I think it takes getting used to. And unfortunately, we tend to then accuse the women of being too assertive and or being bossy rather than assertive.
What do you think we need to do to intentionally build leadership skills for women across industries?
It's definitely, it's definitely that mentorship and creating that buddy system.
Yeah.
Those that are already in leadership, taking on the junior level stuff and just training them, highlighting to them the skills that they need to develop and creating that confidence. Because I find sometimes with women, it's also that feeling of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
We don't always believe in what we're capable of. And it's overcoming that. And sometimes it takes somebody actually showing you what you're capable of and bringing that out in you for you to build that confidence. Because if you're working with somebody that is constantly putting you down and not believing or recognizing your efforts, it will actually impact your confidence. So we need more people that actually recognize the skills in the women and bring out their capabilities.
In your view, do you think that across different sectors, we have some sectors that are doing better than what we are in the property and built when it comes to embracing women leadership?
I think there are some sectors that are doing better, and it tends to also, again, reflect societal norms. So, for example, in our sector, with regards to safety, being on site on a construction site is still seen as an unsafe environment for a woman. So there will be very few women that either come into the space because they fear that they can't be in the space, or told that they can't be in their space, or they meet a lot of barriers in coming into the space because of the safety issue. And also in different sectors, there's jobs where your work is limited exactly 9 to 5. And you're going to be at work at this time and leave at this time, whereas other sectors, your work is unlimited, so you don't have control of your time. And so perhaps in your family, as the woman, you are more in charge of the children and you have to pick them up from school, etc. And you have to manage the children at home. You don't have a helper. And so that then prevents you from joining certain professions because you won't be as available for your family and your family dynamics. And so I think it's definitely there's other sectors that will have more women than our sector. Yeah.
And on that safety aspect, is it real or perceived?
It's definitely perceived. And I'll say it's perceived even for ourselves because we grow up being very sheltered as young girls. That you can play outside, but don't get dirty, don't climb the trees, let the boys climb the trees, etc. So we're not we're not encouraged to be brave. And so when we do grow up, we see these jobs as intimidating instead of a challenge that you can overcome.
Okay, so when we look forward to the future, what changes would we love to see that would paint a different picture to the picture that we're talking about right now?
Definitely in organizations, it's changing the culture. Because I'll give an example of my friend. She's in the private equity space and it's very male dominated and she's in leadership. And she felt she had to show up as the men did, put in the long hours, be available all the time. But meanwhile, she had children at home that she needed to take care of and the family suffered. So it's also being confident that you can still be you as a female and put in the hours that you can put in and not be like the men and not try to operate at the same level as the male counterparts do, but still be able to bring in your skill and show that you've got the knowledge and the ability to do the same work that they're doing, but not spending hours. So making the work environment more looking at outcomes rather than the amount of time that you're spending in the office. Yes. So I would think if we do it that way, more women can be recognized because you're confident that you've got a seat at the table and you will be recognized, and not just because of the amount of time you're there, but just your outcomes, the skill that you bring.
Now, the business culture does tend to be, focused on time that you put in, money that you raise, and that creates a bit of a tension, right, between the one having the patience to groom and teach so that we create more instead of gravitating towards recycling the same. It creates a tension between having the patience for someone that we perceive less productive because they can't spend put in as much hours as the next person, because they need to rush home and be there for the kids. So is there a world where the business culture and its need to put in more time, to make more money, to the agility, even the masculine nature, right, of business, does it have patience for all of these things that we are talking about?
I wouldn't say it has the patience currently, but I think it will force to have the patience because you need business continuity. And with the change, with the multiple quick changes in the environment, businesses need to thrive and succeed continuously. In order to sustain success, you need to have succession. And there's a limited number of people with the skills, and there's more women with the skills that are needed. And so if you're going to keep recycling the same people, you're going to run out of those people eventually because they're going to reach retirement age. They might move on to other opportunities, etc. And so you need to now have people that can step in into those roles. So I think they will be forced to. Similarly, how COVID came in and forced us to look at a different way of work, which I think has benefited women, because then they didn't have to be in the office every day and all day. There's a lot more flexibility now. And even though there's a movement of going back to work, it's 3 days back in the office now, for example. And that still allows some flexibility for parents to be able to manage home life and work life. And like you said, I completely agree. It should be about output and not about the number of hours you spend in the office. And if you need to put in the hours, you've got a laptop and you sit at home and you do it. Because you want to have the results by Tuesday morning, and how you manage your time to get it done by Tuesday morning is up to you as a professional.
So then if business gravitates towards not necessarily being attached to seeing you there, putting in all these hours, accepting that you can put in those hours even if you're not in the office, and not then look at you differently because you are not necessarily in a position to stay until, you probably can when there is a requirement, but it does not then become an everyday expectation that we then need to teach, the business culture. And I guess the business culture was created, right? So we can recreate it or, redefine it, that it's actually, not a true reflection of the outcomes that we actually get. So societal changes, and we've spoken to this so many times, in this conversation. What societal changes need to be introduced so that we actually allow women to lead?
I think we're going to have to start from a young age. We have to start teaching our sons that we're all equal and the woman is equally capable. you might not be able to do the heavy lifting, but
Yeah.
there's other aspects that you bring to the table that when we work together, we can achieve a goal. So when we start from that level, at least they grow with that understanding and they take that on into the workplace.
Yeah.
Because I think now the challenge is also you've got these males that have grown up with a different mindset. And then you come to the workplace and you're trying to teach them that now a woman is equally capable.
Yeah.
They've got a lot to bring to the table, but at the home front, that's not what they know.
Yeah.
So it's challenging now to change that mindset and to redefine how you look at things. So if we start from a young age, I think in the future, we will see those changes that we want.
And I know that you're not a mother, but in the home, if she says we need to start at the home, are we starting to raise boy children differently to how we raise girl children? I mean, when I was growing up, if someone has to wash the dishes, it would be one of the girls. If someone has to do the cooking, it would be one of the girls. If there's grass cutting, it would be one of the boys. Should we be changing how we allocate those responsibilities in the home? And if we do, would it shift how we see ourselves in terms of what we are allowed to do or what we can do outside of our gender?
No, definitely, I agree. If you started from a young age in the home, it becomes a norm in the children's mind. They see it as something normal. They don't even see it as something different. They'll only see it different if they go to another household that's running things differently. And then they'll be able to say to their friend, oh, I wash dishes at home, and I don't see the problem. You should wash the dishes. It's actually maybe therapeutic, and your sister could mow the lawn. And so they're having those conversations at school that it's normal. There's nothing wrong with it, and it actually makes the household function better if everybody's chipping in without whatever work that needs to be done. But obviously, there's certain things that a female physically can't do, like heavy lifting. But they can still mow the lawn, etc. And I think most importantly, also in the schools, there's a lot of gender discrimination, which is unintentional. I went to a girls' school, and there were a lot of courses that were in the boys' schools that we didn't have. We had to do home economics, but they had woodwork at the boys' school. And I was interested in the woodwork, but I couldn't. I had to do home economics. And for me, there was no reason why we couldn't do woodwork. But I was told it's just not something that's done at the school.
Girls don't do that.
Girls don't do that. And so I think if you start at school level, that will also help in the schools, is if there's extramurals or something different from the main subjects, let everybody do. Let everybody choose what they want to do. And then that actually opens children's minds up, and they don't see school as boring or forced to do one thing when they want to do another.
Yeah, sure. So we're wrapping up. What legacy would you like to leave for the upcoming women leaders?
I would want them to grow up into the world where the sky is the limit. Anything is possible. You are not hindered from doing what you want to do because you're a woman. You can look at anything and you can do it.
Yeah, sounds good to me. What legacy would you like to leave?
No, definitely. I completely agree with that. And that's how I've run my career, is that I don't have to stick to one path. There isn't a single path or a single destination to be able to have an impact in your work or in society. There's different ways to do it. But what's important is that you have to do it with other people. You can't do it alone. And men can't do it alone. Women can't do it alone. We have to do it together for greater success. Not just enough success, but greater success.
Absolutely. All right. So now the question that I'm going to ask both of you came from the guest that we hosted previously. I'm going to start with you. Who would you be if you let go of all your limiting beliefs?
I think I would be probably greater than I am right now. I think a lot of the challenges that you come across with the subject matter being as a woman
Yeah.
in the sector, there has been limiting beliefs at certain turns where I now realize had I turned right instead of left, I would have been farther. But I complied to the status quo at the time.
Yeah.
Because I thought I needed to prove myself before I actually, step into that direction. And I'd like to be able to impart that knowledge to younger people to say you don't necessarily have to prove yourself every time. You can prove yourself while you're doing it. And so I think if I didn't have those limiting beliefs at those specific junctures in my journey, I probably would have been farther now than I am. But I still don't regret. And there's certain things I've learned about myself, having not taken the left turn and took the right turn, that will
Yeah.
still make sure that I'm a greater person going forward.
All right. Who would you be?
I would definitely be a Formula One driver.
Love it.
Yeah?
Yes, because you would know that I can do it. I can drive just as well, if not better, than how the male people are driving. And I would go further. I enjoy being the accountant and doing this, being in a office and being in a boardroom. I enjoy that. But
Yeah.
I think I would enjoy being out there and just being free.
Man, Indre, I
The Grand
don't
Prix is
watch
coming to
Formula.
Joburg.
I don't watch it, so I know there was Schumacher at some point, but are there female Formula One drivers?
They are. I mean, it's not as prominent as the Formula One.
Yeah.
So there is the women F1 driving
League.
academy, but it's not as prominent. And I think it's only up and coming now, and not many people know about it.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, ladies. And to the young ladies out there, let go of your limiting beliefs and know that you just can. You are capable and you can do it. I enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you very much.